welcome back to another radio roundup from the Sunday podcast, brought to you guys by sportshoes.com. As always, Matt, let's get into it. Lots to talk about this week. We posed a few questions on Instagram in light of kind of Eilish's comments about qualification for the 10,000. We've had loads of responses, so I want to get into a few of those and talk through, I guess, some of the the critical angles you could look at, but obviously mostly people in support of more women being able to qualify through events.
Yeah, I think an overwhelming number of people obviously in support of mixed performances should count. And it is tough to understand the rationale behind why they don't. I think we've seen over the last couple of years, we've seen road times now be allowed to qualify for track championships. And one of the biggest reasons for that is plain and simply the opportunities aren't there on the track. They're not frequent enough. It's very difficult if you miss 1 or 2 10K opportunities on the track, or you simply can't get into those races because they're full, there's so much demand. Then where are you going to run that standard? Where are you going to show that you're fit enough and you deserve to go to the major championships? I think that's why we've seen road 10K times now allowed on the track. So it is then a shame to basically exclude women from those opportunities because there are very few female-only races on the road. And I also think that the road has gone. It would be so hard to bring that back as well. Like, organisers are not going to change the way they organise mass participation races. They are not just the sport itself is not going to turn unless the sport itself turned around overnight and was like, right, female-only races on the road at every meet, but it's not going to happen. And so unfortunately, women are denied all of those same opportunities. What advantage did Eilish have in, say, a Valencia 10K that Joe Wigfield didn't have? Joe Wigfield ran that race with 20 men. Eilish ran that race around women and around men. Like, for me, it's the same. And I think it is a real shame because when you break it down, we've got 12, 13 women in the qualification window, sub 32 minutes on the road. I think on the track, we've got 3. And it will probably stay at 3 all year, let's be honest. Yeah.
And obviously with the trials coming up this weekend, it means that a lot of women don't have a standard. So then wanting to go and compete at those trials, there's not the same, I guess, ambition or the same reason for them to go and compete in Loughborough on Sunday.
Yeah. A lot of them women don't have a legit standard. They have run sub 32, but they don't have that legitimate standard, which is a real shame. I don't know if it's going to change this year. Maybe it will in future years. I can understand Eilish's frustration. Everyone is in support of that. That a few people, interestingly, and actually a few elite women did message us and say mixed performances shouldn't count. And they didn't give a reason why, but I think there's a few arguments, from speaking to people that I disagree with them, but I can understand where they're coming from. The window has been open since the end of January until the end of July this year. So the end of January 2025 to the end of July 2026. Now that's an 18, 19-month period that selection window is open. So of course there are not many opportunities, but if your priority was to go to the European Championships over 10,000 and you're a sub 32 minute runner, or you're capable of sub 32 minutes, there have been opportunities to run that standard. And I think that some people, of course, the standard should change. But in this instance, it's kind of like now there's a month to go on the selection policy. People are only just starting to kick up a fuss about this. But actually, the selection policy has been there and there's been opportunities to run. And if it was a priority a year ago, you probably would have ticked the boxes or tried to tick the boxes, especially someone like Eilish who can go and run sub 32 minutes whenever she wants. I mean, she could do that en route to a half marathon almost, so I think some people argue that.
Yeah, I think that's why you might get, like you say, a few female elites are on that side, in that they would not like to see it get changed in the next month because
they've gone about their season
they prioritize going to wherever to make sure they hit their standards, and actually then to find out, I could have gone to Manchester and run a 10K on the road and got my time there. Why have I done X, Y, Z, gone out my way to make it happen for myself? So yeah, we can empathize with that for sure. I think, when it comes to qualification times for major championships, in terms of the 10K. Like we allow mixed performances for the marathon. We're not saying women have to go and run London where it's a separate race to get their standard. We allow any like proper marathon, right? So what's the difference in terms of 5 and 10? Yeah, obviously maybe you go and race on the track in the actual championship. But if we're going to allow it for the men, we need to allow it for the women as well, because it just more than halves the opportunities you have.
And it's the whole purpose of having these standards, and I guess the drive and the intent from the governing body should be to make these teams as competitive as possible, and to encourage that competition. And actually having 12 or 13 women inside 32 minutes is mega, and we would love to see them. Imagine all of those women were competing this weekend and challenging for a Euro spot. It'd be a fantastic race. But unfortunately, they're not. Obviously, some are going to be at the Euro 10K Cup the following week. And, really only those who have the legit standard, which is a track standard or a female-only road race standard, of racing this weekend. Plus, there are a few others. And that is a shame. However, this weekend is an opportunity itself. There is a 10,000 meter track race this weekend on Sunday.
Yeah, there certainly is. And it's good to see that people are looking to go there. Obviously, the people not selected for that Euro 10K Cup team. And it's top one, right? It's in terms of the auto queue. So,
which
someone's gonna get himself on a team. You'd imagine, maybe. I think Izzy Fry, obviously, and then she has a standard box, and if she takes the win, she's locked in then for the Europeans.
No, I think that, again, top one at the trials this weekend, over a 10,000 meter race on the track. I think that itself, a lot of people have weighed up the pros and cons of racing and whether they want to compete and whether they believe they can go and win. And quite simply, if they don't think they can win, they've probably opted to go elsewhere or do a different event, which is a shame.
Yeah. But it makes sense. It's a shame, but it does make sense in a way, in that, like, if you're thinking, well, yeah, am I better off? Obviously, particularly the ones who've been selected for the week after, can they go and run have a good performance there, place highly, good head to heads, but also box standard? Then yeah, why would you, I guess, ruin your preparation for the 10K Cup by doubling up?
It's not feasible. Doubling up isn't possible. I don't think 6 days apart. Yeah, the 10K Cup, it's going to be in Italy. The fields are going to be deep. There's going to be wave lights. Huge opportunity for them to go and run that standard. And I think it is a little bit of a shame. It is only top one, but hey, look, that's what it is. Because of that, it's still on the ground. But the trials this weekend, should we get into the trials this weekend? Just to summarize, I think basically everyone is in agreement that mixed performances on the road should count towards qualification. If you could qualify on the road, you just got to accept any, World Athletics labeled road race.
Yeah, because road races are mixed. Basically, that's just
and the sport is never going to change that. Like, it's way too far gone in order to change that. That being said, I think it's the Manchester 10K in a couple of weeks. I think that is a female only start.
To be fair, well, I guess the only thing that could be, like, in terms of prep, right? Because I know we mentioned obviously having the time to do it. How clear is it that it's like single sex races that count for road times on the selection policy? Well,
to be honest, until like this was all flagged by Eilish and stuff, I wasn't even aware. I was like, I wasn't reading the depths of the policy. No. But when you go in, it does say, but it's not
on that main graph, is it? On the table? It's not on the main table.
No. It's down in the small print. Yeah, it's down in the small print at the bottom. Yeah. So no, it is a shame. Especially the amount of national records, world records that we've seen in mixed races now. And look, I know there is a few technicalities. Technically it's world best, isn't it? Not world records and stuff like that. But and some people do say if we continue to sort of accept mixed races and take it too far, then there is an element of women lose out on that actual race. you know, and they lose out on that exposure, that media attention, because, you know, take that 2:10 in Barcelona, for example, that, what are we calling that? A world record, seeing as Chepengetic was banned, or a world best, whatever. But like the media attention that got versus obviously Salwe's 159. Now I know he's broken 2 hours, but even the way we were able to watch Salwe's 159 play out, we saw so much more of that percentage wise of that race. We saw loads of it. Whereas that 2:10 in Barcelona, or even Asefa's 2:11 in Berlin, you're seeing a few minutes here and there, you know, of the race unfold.
Yeah, I think so. And I think,
and you're not getting that same airtime. Whereas you look at London and you've got, you know, Asefa, Chepkorir, and you've got Iberi, and it's like, that's amazing. Like, we're really seeing that race fully unfold. The women are in the spotlight, and they are racing.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I'm hoping when we move to Saturday, Sunday, London, as the plan is, you even got a whole day to like watch the women's race, enjoy the performance, reflect upon it, and then you go into the men's one the day after. It's not even, you're not even trying to think about both at the same time. And that's what I love about the kind of Olympic and world champs marathons, is that you just solely focused on.
Yeah.
It's not even just a women's race and a men's race that start half an hour apart. It's a completely different event. The same way we can get excited for the women's 10K on the track and the men's 10K on the track on different days.
Yep.
And just really, really focus in on it. So those things are really important. And if London can pull that off with 2 mass races and then 2 elite races across 2 days, it will be unreal in terms of the exposure for the athletes and just the experience as a fan, being able to watch that unfold solely in terms of that front group, basically.
100%. So mate, let's move on to this weekend. British 10K.
Should we go through the 10K Cup team first? Because then obviously I think it explains then a few of the emissions maybe.
Yep.
A bit more. So we'll just wrap up that 10K Cup team, heading to Italy on the 23rd of May, quickly. So 2 in the senior men's, so Jack Kavanagh and Matt Ramsden. Then the senior women's team stacked. So Charlotte Dannett, Lucy Jones, Jess Martin, Holly Weedle, Lizzie Welsted, and Amelia Quirk in there on the women's. So we won't see any of those at the trials on Sunday, but they've got a great opportunity the weekend after to go and smash out good performance.
Mate, lots of debuts there as well. So 6 in the women's team. Surprised not to see. In fact, a few people wrote in and said, you know, why is there only 2 on the men's team? I don't know why there's only 2 on the men's team, especially how many men we had sort of eligible for this race. Because it's not like there's loads of people running on Sunday at the British Champ. I think someone like Joe Wigfield, I can understand. Hugo Milner, I can understand. Even James Kick, I can understand, because in a way, these guys, they're going to try and win the 10K trial. They're going to try and get that auto time. Obviously, Wiki has the standard. So yeah, he's obviously prioritizing just getting that big queue to Euros, boxing that off, and he's in a very, very strong position to do that. However, there are I know we had a lot of guys run London, but there are a lot of guys, you know, sort of in and around that. And I'm surprised the 10K is definitely the easier of the 2 qualifying standards this year. You look at what it takes to qualify for the 10 versus the 5 and the competition you're against. I'm surprised we haven't had more guys go for the 10K.
Yeah, I mean, even with the mixed races, though, it is still hard in terms of getting the opportunities, though. Do you not think? To actually go and do it and go and execute?
No, but like, look, Jimmy Gressier is going to run this Euro 10K Cup. The standard is going to be very high at this Euro 10K Cup. It's going to be deep fields. It's going to be wave lights. It's going to be in Italy. And again, it goes back to, there are opportunities, but people aren't, it's not loads of opportunities. So you do have to prioritize. But I feel like people actually aren't prioritizing the 10,000. And if this doesn't show how the impact of Highgate, you know, for me, it's so clear that Highgate motivated those 3K, 5K runners to want to do a 10,000. Whereas actually, I think there's a lot of people who are just not interested in running a 10,000 on the track. It is plain and simple. Highgate managed to do that. It managed to change people's mindset around the 10,000 on the track. It inspired people to run a 10, just like people are inspired to do a marathon. It inspired people to run a 10,000 on the track. And we're going back to pre-Highgate era, man.
Yeah. It's tough, isn't it? And look, we obviously hope Highgate comes back at some point, because it is a real. We almost talk more about the missing fixture on the calendar than all the packed fixtures we do have. We have a ridiculous number of races. We have too many races, but then we're still sat here talking about a race that's not happening, and it does show the impact of how important that race was, and not just for performances. I just think for the community, in a way, in terms of the running community, like people actually wanting to go out and go and support that meet. As well, like it was a real kind of marker on the calendar. So it is a shame, but we obviously hope that we'll be back at some point. We've been told it's not done forever. But I think the more years you have off, it's harder to
get start again. What it is. Yeah, I mean, I said to you, I felt like Highgate was bubbling away, and it was starting to come on the radar of some of the best in the world. Like, I know we had sort of like Chalima, he was a little bit, but we had some great races, Emil Paddy, Sam Atkin, and when the Euro Cup was there, we obviously had some huge internationals there, and some low 27-minute runners, some low 30-minute runners over 10K. And I truly believe that if Highgate happened last year and this year, we would be attracting the Gressiers, the Almgrens, the Camellis, the big European stars, hell, even maybe a few Americans. I think we would be attracting some serious, for those European athletes who are starting to dominate on the world scene. Highgate would have been a bucket list race, and they wouldn't have been able to turn it down. I think they would have wanted to get involved just because of what it is. And it's a shame. It's a real shame, but we won't dwell on that too much. But I think we are seeing the impact of Highgate not existing. People have gone back to sort of pre that era where they're doing everything they can to avoid a track 10,000. And we're not seeing many people, want to run a track 10,000. Yeah. That being said,
let's shout out to people who are doing one then, because it's hard to do. They're putting themselves on the line. So who have we got on the weekend, mate?
So look, the weekend, British champs. There is a lot to run for. We've got Sam Harrison, Izzy Fry, Poppy Tank, Lily Partridge, Hannah Irwin. There's a couple internationals in there. It's a good German, Dietrich in there. Israeli. So there's actually Clara Evans is in there as well. There's actually a bunch of women who do have lifetime bests right on around 32 minutes. Some are 31 high, some are just over 32. So in theory,
I mean, this could help them, right?
This could be quite
out the back in a stupidly fast race. If they all say, look, let's run 31:59 and then see who wants it. Could be cool, and we could get the whole team from this. I know they're not auto guaranteed, but you'd like to think if all three of them run sub 32 at the front,
mate. If three people go sub 32 at Loughborough on a Sunday evening over 10,000, they deserve that spot. If you come third in 31:50 or whatever, you deserve that spot, no matter like what, because if someone, and this is what's difficult though, this is what's so difficult about the selection policy, because you're going to have people racing Italy the week after. If they run 31:50 in Italy and someone runs 32:05 in Loughborough, with a thinner field, it's so hard. Like, who would you pick? And obviously you'd go with the person who's hit the standard technically, but
we have to.
You have to. But what's the better performance? The 32:05 in Loughborough.
And a British Champs medal.
And the British Champs medal, where you've done it in a race, and they'll have wave lights. I doubt they'll have a pacer for more than 3-4K. So it's going to be a hard solo grind. They might do. But for me, it's, look, Izzy Fry has her standard boxed off. She's obviously prioritised the trial. I think she's in a very similar position as Wigfield. This is Poppy Tank has a good chance as well. But I think this is Izzy Fry's to lose.
Yeah. Where are you on that? Men's race?
Men's race. Yeah, I mean, there should be a good old matchup. Unfortunately, Emil's not doing it. There's a few athletes who have withdrawn. Emil's one of them. I've heard anyway. And Jakob Summer-Simonson is one of them, the Dane. But you've got Wigfield, you've got Kingston, Kadar Omar can definitely do a job. Ed Buck, Max Lavi's in there. For me, Hugo Milner is definitely like, it's going to be a really interesting duel between Wiggy, Milner, and I think Kingston again. Can he just hang on in there? He's had a really stellar cross season. I think he could do something, quite special as well this summer over the 10 and the 5, and there's an opportunity for him just to sit. But that Wiggy's will Wiggy do any of the work? I mean, I think he backs himself to outkick both those guys. So I don't think Wiggy's going to do any of the work. But look, Milner and Kingston love to push the pace. So I imagine whatever these wave lights are run out or set out or the pacer goes out, I think they'll go with it.
Yeah. The good thing about Wiggy though is I don't think I don't think he's afraid for it to be quick though. He's not going to go and do any of the work, but at the same time, I think he'll relish running at a good pace. And them actually getting after it anyway. And he'll still back his kick. So yeah, it'll be a good race. And yeah, like you say, similar to Izzy Fry, just a chance for him to just box it off. This is the thing. These athletes that have gone out their way to make sure they've got their times done and dusted, they can go into this weekend worrying about one thing and one thing only. And that is part of the preparation. It's part of the skill as an athlete is peaking somewhere to run a good time. And then getting yourself ready to just make sure you win the race on the day. So, yeah, but both Wigfield and Fry in kind of prime positions to do that.
Yeah. The other man to look out for is the Lesso, obviously the Danish athlete coached by Thomas Lewandowski. He has run sub 28 on the road recently, just a month ago in April. So he's pretty handy over 5. What's he run, like 13:15 or something over 5,000 on the track? So I think that makes him faster than everyone in this field over 5,000.
What's the wording of that policy? Is it first across the line or first Brit?
Yeah, good point. I think it is first Brit. It's definitely first Brit.
Because if it says win the race.
If it says, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Then it could be in bother, but no, I'm pretty sure it's just first Brit, man. It's first Brit. But look, that's the British Champs 10K. They're the big names in it on the men's and women's sides. We just hope there's just a bit of a race in these guys. And actually the fields look deep enough to make a race of this, at least for sort of 3-4K. I think it will be hard. Definitely it's not going to be Highgate, is it? It's not going to be a sound 10K, but it's a championship and it's a good chance for people just to gain experience on the track who haven't done one before, and then for those other guys to just try and qualify. But
yeah, fairly decent crowd in there with the Loughborough International, and then just being a student based race as well. I think there's just generally people around who are interested in, so you'll get some people down there. Which is good.
The Loughborough Invite is always a good watch, isn't it? It's always a good atmosphere, good event. And you will have a lot of bodies there. And I think a lot of bodies will hang around to watch this. So hopefully the atmosphere is driven quite high throughout the race as it unfolds. Obviously, Izzy Fry trains there as well. So I'm sure she'll have a big support crew. Sam Harrison is in and around there as well. Mm-hmm. So, but, I think it's kind of what we expected, isn't it? I think given just how busy this time of year is, and actually I was looking at a few events and quite a lot of races just seem a little bit thin on the ground. We've got the BMC Grand Prix on the weekend, and obviously Loughborough the day after. Next week you've got Comeback, and you've got Belgium in the same weekend, and you've got league matches. Week after that, BMC Grand Prix again.
I think there's that in that the calendar's busy. I do also think the trend these days is like that kind of
people aren't racing as much. People aren't racing as much.
Kind of train, and then I'm just going to come out. And I think people are so confident in their training because actually so many people are so knowledgeable about what it takes to run a good time now, because so much is shared over social media or wherever. People are so confident that actually they don't need that kind of rust buster anymore, or they're simulating it in training. And people are just happy to think, I'm going to come out and I'm going to probably run my PB on my first or second race because they're back in their training so much.
I don't think people are racing as much as they used to. Are they really?
No.
I think it's just one or two races. It's gone. And I also think the road is just very popular. I mean, hey, look, Podium 5K is back in York on the 6th of June, people, if you fancy a road race there. But we're just seeing those 5K road races where they used to just pop up in spring and autumn. They're all year. They're in the depths of winter during the cross season. They're in summer. There's 5 or 6 cracks of the whip in spring. There's 5 or 6 attempts in the autumn. And then, like I say, they're trickling through into the summer. They're all winter. There's and I think a lot of people are just gravitating towards those road races, aren't they? And I did say, I think when you watch a race like London, it is going to inspire so many people to sort of get onto the roads, and because road races are absolutely booming. Like, you can't enter a road race.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get a ticket for a road race. Whereas actually, there's BMC last night at Birmingham, you still pick up an entry late, sort of 2-3 days before. Interesting. Lay of the land. But, mate, the other thing we wanted to talk about today was the British Champs qualification standards. They've changed.
Yeah, they have. And for the better, I think we both agreed on, in terms of there's, for the 8 and 15 anyway, we're looking at rankings. There is a standard. I believe it's 146 for the men, and then what's the women's one?
201.
201 for the women, for the 800s anyway. But outside of that, they're taking it off rankings. So depending on the number of people who've actually run that time, which is obviously super quick, so it kind of ring fences your top athletes and keeps them safe. And then it's down to 36 on the list.
Yeah.
And a couple of discretionary spots, but it's cool. It almost gives it gives it a kind of bit of a NCAA vibe to it, in terms of people trying to get themselves on the last chance meets into the top 36. Makes it quite exciting, and prevents us maybe from having ridiculous number of entries on the list, as we have in previous years, due to just the influx of athletes running those standards. And luckily, I think not everyone's accepted their entries the past few years. But for example, I think a couple of years ago, the men's 15 was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of people who'd run, because it was still at 350 or whatever it used to.
But still, they didn't
if everyone had accepted it, we could have had about 30 heats.
Yeah, we could have had 30 heats, but you never do. You never do. And I'll say it again, the British Champs is one of those races where, this ranking system where they invite the top 36, I think it's brilliant, because it's going to encourage people to not take their invite for granted. I think there's a lot of people with British Champs and they go, I'm not going to make it out of the heats, I won't bother going. And then so what happens is, I said before, you get people who are going for experience, and then you get people who are going for a team.
Yeah.
And you get very few people who are in the middle, who are on the cusp of making a final, or like a top 10 finish in the 5K, saying, very few of them. So so British Champs is a funny one. I feel like that depth in the middle isn't there that much at British Champs.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's there right at the top. Huge competition for spots. But then you get people who are just, they're going for experience.
Has this always been the case?
Yeah.
I do wonder this.
I think it's always been.
As we get older, because I think when we're younger.
Look, if you're a 3:39.15, if you're a 3, what's this, the auto Q's 3:38. So if you're like a 3:40, 1500 meter man, how many of those do we have in this country who just don't seem to bother? And again, when it comes to the 5K, we've got so many people who have run 1350-ish, 755 3K. They don't accept the invite. They don't get involved.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't want to get in that race and get dropped with 4 laps to go and suffer around. And so you tend to get 5 or 6 who are going for the team, and then you get people who really want to just gain experience. And I think anyway,
younger athletes,
developing athletes. That's what tends to happen. So bringing in this ranking system, I think, is really going to encourage those. It's going to make sure the fields are extremely deep.
Yeah.
In the 8 and the 15. In the 8 and the 15. The 800 is going to be very difficult to qualify for into the final, because if they have 36 runners, 4 heats of 9, bunch of 144 men, 145 men, same with the women, bunch of women around 2 flat, 201, 159. Some good runners will miss out. They'll have 4 heats. It'll be first one and then one fastest. All it takes is to draw bloody Georgia Bell in your heat, and it's like, oh God, you could be a 158, 159 runner, and like I say, you have someone like that in your heat. Then you have a couple at sort of 2 flats. Same on the men's. So effectively the auto standards are 146, 201, 410.5 and 338.0. And then obviously if you're inside that, you're going to British Champs, and then everyone else will have to wait for an invitation. They'll go down to 36th place. 36th place declines, then they'll take 37. They'll stretch the invite. The one thing that I flagged is the deadline's 7th of June.
Yeah.
Got a BMC Grand Prix the week after on the 13th. Obviously, British Champs is until the 21st. That is people haven't got long.
No, and it's just been published as well, hasn't it?
Just been, literally just been released, because we saw a draft copy where they didn't have those auto standards, and we were like, just taking the top 36. So it's just been published, literally. Must have been yesterday or today.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool. There'll be some teething problems in the first year, I'm sure. But ultimately, the top end aren't going to miss out. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
Good. Coming up, Diamond League.
Yeah, Diamond League, man. Yeah, this weekend, buzzing for it, actually. Diamond League's back. Men's 3000 women's 1500. The fields are very deep, actually. I love an early Diamond League. I think it always throws up a few surprises. Obviously, it's in Shanghai, so got a lot of Aussies in there, and then, a lot of Ethiopians, a lot of Kenyans in there as well. Not really any Brits to look out for. Melissa Courtney Bryant goes in the 5,000. That 5,000 is stacked. Kip Yegon's in there. Who else is in that 5,000? I remember looking. Kip Yegon.
Yes.
God, you've got a lot of fast Ethiopians. I think the average time for that 5K must be 14:30. Obviously, Kip Yegon pulls that down a bit with her 14:05, but yeah, it's Issa's in there. Yeah, 14:15. Oh, yeah. That's going to be a good race.
13 Ethiopians in that.
13 Ethiopians. Where is it? 22 of them in the field or something. Jesus. Courtney Bryant obviously picked up 1,500 win, and credit to her. I feel like she has obviously had a number of injuries, but just whenever she does race, she races well. Like whenever she's on the track, she's in shape. I never see like mediocre performances from her. So, but that's going to be a tough, talk about a rust buster. Jesus, that's going to be a tough field to be involved in. Because no doubt Kip Yegon will just be in amazing shape and be on for low 14 minutes. Walcott Nolan looks to be pacing it. I can only presume she's not stepping up. That would be a tough sort of 5K track debut for her. Women's 15, Dorcas Awoy's doing it. Gracie Morris, the American, Emily Mackay. Got Abby Caldwell, Claudia Hollingsworth, Berka Hylam. Yeah, bunch of women who have run sub 4 in there.
Women's steeple stacked as well, mate. You got Chematai in there. You got Chirotic.
Oh my God, the numbers.
Geruto's in there.
Yeah. Mate, it's the numbers. Look how many there are. Courtney Wayman's in there, yeah. Must be 20 plus people in that steeple.
It's pretty stacked in terms of distance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 20 in that steeple.
Decent.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Decent, yeah. Then like you say, mate, men's 800, Adrian Ben's in there, Bowles in there, Mark English, Kinyamau, Brandon Miller, Ben Patterson in there. So we'll be interested to see how he goes off the back of that 1,500 metres the other night. Lots of 142, 143 men. Again, in a big field, in a 12-man, 800-metre field.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pace of 13, isn't it? Yeah, do you know what? That's a good field for Patterson. He can, you've obviously got some good guys in there, but it's early season. And, they've all run 142, 143, to be fair, and at their absolute best. But actually, it's a lot of people in there. He'll be like, I want to compete against, I want to beat. And this is an opportunity for him to try and, I look at this field, he could win this Diamond League. Peter Bowl, Adrian Ben, Mark English. The winner's going to be Sarah Dasky's in it, Hangura. It's a winnable Diamond League for Patterson, depending on what shape he's in. Obviously, it's early season. But I think when there's 12, 13 men in the field, he just needs to make sure he's close enough. He's close enough early on, right? And he's not, he doesn't lose this one.
Yeah, whacked around.
Yeah, that's busy.
Yeah. And
there's not a natural, sort of front runner who's going to whiz through 49.50. They could be a little cagey. Men's 3,000 this weekend. Armgren's in there. Yeah,
the Chariots are in there. Reynolds and Timothy. Kuma Gurma, the younger brother. Who else have we got in there?
Yeah, Wale's in there. You got Mohammed
Drops in there. Edwin Kogan.
Yeah. You got a bunch of 7:30 men in there. That's going to be a classic early season 3K for the men as well.
I'd love to see them just get after it. Just right from the off.
Oh, they will?
Yeah.
They will. That's the theory we're in.
Those world leads.
I'm surprised to see Armgren open up his season so early. But I think...
He just loves to race, though, doesn't he?
He does love to race, and there's good opportunities early season. You look like the Diamond Leagues that are going to be on his doorstep early June, that he's going to be attacking the 5,000 in. And so he probably sees this as a necessary race. But yeah, I'm surprised to see him open up so early on, actually. That's it this week.
Yeah. That is, mate. How's your stretching been going? Still using that premium Go wad? Thanks to the
Mate,
guys.
yeah, of course. Really, really enjoying it, actually. I think I say it all the time, don't I? But if you're not willing to stretch and take care of your body, but you're willing to pay £250 on super shoes, you need to reevaluate. You need to reevaluate your priorities. I think it's the easiest way for your body to just feel good is stretching. And like, I've found that, like, I've been stretching in the evenings and you do just wake up and just feel so much better.
Yeah. Training been going all right?
Did a nice fart leg, yeah. Did a nice fart leg the other day, mate. Was just coasting up and down some hills like the morning mist. I was just, 8 by 2 minutes, 1 minute rest. Oh, I felt smooth as ever and put it down to GoWOD. Actually, that's the only change I've had in my life in the last month or so. And I'm keeping fit, mate.
Played hockey last night and I'm feeling a bit worse for wear, to be honest. So might have to go have a little stretch now.
Mate, you're going to get the Met boys on GoWOD?
Yeah, that's it. Quite possibly. That might be a way to do it.
I'd love to see if there's a study out there that links stretching with reduced injury. I wonder if there's a study that exists where if you take, a pool of 100 people and you get, 50 of them to stretch 15 minutes a day and 50 of them don't do any stretching at all.
Yeah. I think I guess it goes beyond stretching, doesn't it? It's all, that's more mobility.
GoWOD is very comprehensive.
Strength and conditioning in its own right. It's not.
I think that's what's nice about it is like, there is a progression. You can focus on your mobility, but then there is the activations that we spoke about previously. And then there is actually, if you're someone who's a little bit green and doesn't quite understand the strength and conditioning world, what you want to get out of strength and conditioning as a distance runner, it really supports you in that as well. Like you could go on there and you could get a full sort of S&C plan as well.
Yeah. And changes in how much equipment you have, etc. So easy to just slide in and out. So again, thanks to those guys for hooking us up. And go check their stuff out as well. But mate, is that all from us this week?
It's all from us this week, man. We'll catch you next week. We'll review that British Champs 10,000. We'll review the Diamond League and we'll preview the Euro Cup, of course. Spoke to Ross Murray recently. What an amazing podcast that was. It's out this Sunday. I think retired athletes always give a honest reflection on their career, and it's always interesting to hear their opinions on the current landscape of the sport as well. So I think Ross Murray tells his story better than anyone, the way that he shares it. And so enjoy that podcast on Sunday. But otherwise, yes, we'll catch you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you very soon.